We finally have some clarity on a very strange situation that was quietly developing at the VMAC over the past couple of weeks. The silence from the coaching staff regarding one of our promising defensive rookies had a lot of fans fearing a worst-case scenario for his first season in the Emerald City. Losing valuable training camp reps is a tough pill to swallow for any young guy trying to prove his worth in this league. But today brought a highly anticipated sight out on the practice field that completely shifts the depth chart conversation right now. Seattle Seahawks cornerback Julian Neal is finally back on the practice field at the VMAC, marking a massive sigh of relief for those of us watching the secondary take shape this summer. The rookie defensive back had been completely sidelined for 2 weeks after suffering a leg injury, forcing him to miss critical development time, including our recent mock game. This was a particularly frustrating setback for a third-round pick who desperately needs these repetitions to transition from his college experience at Fresno State and Arkansas to the professional level. The truth is, missing 14 days of training camp is a significant hurdle for any first-year player, and his absence had left the coaching staff and us fans in the dark regarding his actual timeline for return. Seeing him back in uniform today provided the visual confirmation that head coach Mike McDonald was accurate in his initial assessment of the situation as a short-term issue. Watching him navigate the drills again feels like a vital step, even if his limited experience against high-level competition means he faces a steep climb to contribute right away. I genuinely worry that 2 weeks of lost reps might be impossible to fully recover before the preseason opener this Saturday, creating a real tension about his readiness for the regular season. Does this gap in his development mean our front office will be forced to look elsewhere for veteran depth, perhaps eyeing a move similar to the interest they showed in Terry and Arnold? We are a brand new channel pushing toward our first 1,000 subscribers, and every single person who joins this community helps us keep going. The quiet uncertainty surrounding the secondary finally lifted today at the VMAC, when Julian Neal stepped onto the grass for a full practice session. This recovery represents a major organizational victory after the rookie third-round selection endured 2 agonizing weeks, sidelined by a lingering leg injury. Losing that specific time frame meant he missed the crucial mock game, an event designed to simulate the intensity of professional speed, which left a massive void in his development path. Having monitored his transition from the Fresno State and Arkansas programs, it is clear the coaching staff prioritized a cautious, short-term approach to his rehabilitation to prevent a chronic recurring issue. Management likely views his presence as a building block for the depth chart, especially given his limited experience competing against high-level offenses on a weekly basis. And I'll be straight with you, there is a tangible concern that losing those 14 days of team drills puts him at a disadvantage compared to the rest of the defensive backfield room. When you consider his collegiate trajectory, where he spent most of his early tenure as a reserve before finally breaking out, it becomes obvious why the front office remains protective of his physical progression. They are clearly evaluating whether he possesses the technical baseline to contribute during the regular season, or if they must pivot toward external options to stabilize the secondary. Seeing him back in uniform suggests the medical staff feels confident about his immediate status, provided he avoids setbacks during these final 30 days leading into our season opener. Every repetition he earns now serves as a test of whether his raw talent justifies the early investment made during the draft. With Julian Neal finally back on the field at the VMAC, it is time to move past the initial relief and look at what this really means for our defensive rotation. This situation matters right now because our secondary depth is being tested before the games even start, and having a third-round selection healthy and ready to work is the only way we avoid overextending our primary cornerbacks. The immediate impact is that our roster flexibility changes. By clearing the injury hurdle, Neal creates an internal competition for spots that keeps the veterans accountable during camp. The part fans are not ready for is acknowledging that his absence really did stall the momentum he built through the spring, leaving him trailing behind his peers in terms of total snaps. Looking ahead, this return makes him available for the preseason opener, which serves as a massive audition for his role within this defensive scheme. If he can demonstrate that he belongs, he strengthens our standing against our division rivals who are looking to exploit any lack of chemistry in our backfield. Should he falter, however, the front office might keep their eyes on available free agents to ensure we have a reliable veteran presence if his development hits another wall. Winning in our division requires high-level depth, and even if it takes him a few weeks to shake off the rust from that 2-week layoff, having him active changes the dynamic for our secondary significantly. I genuinely believe getting those reps in during August is the only path to securing a meaningful spot on this team. And seeing him in uniform today is a positive sign for our depth. Getting Julian Neal back in action provides a major boost for our secondary simply because we desperately need his length and physical profile on the boundary to handle deep threats. By returning to the field today, the rookie finally gets the opportunity to prove he can translate his one productive season at Arkansas into consistent snaps, which is the only way he avoids falling behind the rest of the defensive backfield. And honestly, I think the upside of having a player with his specific frame outweighs the concerns about his adjustment period. The counter-argument remains stark. Missing 2 weeks of camp is a steep tax to pay for a third-round selection, especially when you consider his limited background competing against elite college talent. I find the suggestion that our front office is eyeing external options like Terrion Arnold to be a bit overblown, though it highlights a real lack of comfort with current depth chart projections. Relying on an unproven rookie after such a significant health setback is a dangerous game, and watching him navigate these drills will be the deciding factor in whether the front office looks elsewhere for help. Some pundits across the media are already speculating that the delay will force the coaching staff to lean heavily on our established starters, which could lead to fatigue down the stretch. What I really think is that while his return is a great initial step, he needs to play in every remaining preseason game to earn his stripes. If he can show steady improvement through these final 30 days, he might just prove all the doubters wrong regarding his ability to contribute immediately. When we combine the current status of Julian Neal with our long-term trajectory as a franchise, the path forward becomes much clearer regarding our defensive identity. Developing homegrown talent through the draft remains the most reliable strategy for sustained success in the NFL. And getting our third-round pick back on the grass is a vital step toward ensuring we are not just renting players, but building a foundation for the next few years. You should feel encouraged, not just because he is healthy, but because our medical staff is showing the discipline to handle young assets with care. If we want to contend in this division, we need that kind of long-term vision. Here's the thing nobody wants to say though. While his return is a victory, that lost time really does put him in a tough spot to prove his readiness for the regular season. We have seen what happens when secondary depth is thin, and the ability of a player like Neal to adapt quickly will determine if we need to supplement our roster with outside help before the season kicks off. I truly believe he has the frame to be a staple here, but he has to prove his technique against professional speed starting this Saturday. Do you believe Julian Neal will earn a spot in our primary rotation by the end of the preseason, or should we keep looking for outside help? If you enjoyed the video, do not forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. We are still pushing toward our first 1,000 subscribers, and every one of you helps us get there. Go Hawks! I'll see you in the next one.